I'm saying this is if you are choosing to create something new and it doesn't come to you easily at first, what scientists now know is the memories are not in the cells. And this is a very different way. This goes right to the heart of reincarnation. It's a very different way of thinking about things. But let me just give you an example. How many of you in here are musicians or artists? Any musicians in here? Or have learned a foreign language? Anybody here learn a foreign language? Okay, that's a good example. So you know when you begin learning a foreign language, the words sometimes they seem awkward. You learn phonetically and you say the words, but they don't really mean much. And all of a sudden you wake up one morning and like you're speaking Spanish or you're speaking Tibetan or you're speaking French or whatever it is. You know how that happens. All of a sudden it's like almost overnight and you say, well what happened? Well, here's what the science is now telling us. All possibilities exist as information in the field. The information is not in the cells. What we do in the cells is we grow, and Bruce, it's exactly the term that I use, what are called soft antennae. So the way that the neurons wire and fire create the antenna that tune to the place in the field where that information lives, where that foreign language lives. I'm a guitar player, and when I'm trying to learn to play a song for one of my favorite, Michael Hedges was a brilliant guitarist before he passed a few years ago. And to try to learn to play like Michael Hedges for me, I'd go through the motions, and one morning I woke up and man, it was like I was thinking like Michael Hedges, and I knew what the tuning was. And you say, well, what happens in the space between when it's awkward and between when you've got it? And that is the answer to what this question is all about. When we, I'm just going to say it like this. It is the very act, the act of you striving to become more in one moment than you were in the last moment. It's the act of you reaching deep within yourself to grasp a new way of thinking. So a new language or a new song on a guitar, a piano, or a new book to write, or a new title, or new poetry, or new sculpture, new art, whatever it is, that act is the impetus for the neurons to wire together to create the antenna that reach into the field where that information lives that you are asking to have access to. But the thing is, it doesn't happen spontaneously. It takes about 72 hours is what the studies are showing. About 3 days. And if you're with me tomorrow, I'm going to show you a little video clip of this. It takes about 3 days for the neurons they're very social cells. They love to hook up. So it takes about 3 days for these neurons to hook up, to reach out and firmly establish the connection with another like neuron so that they're forming the antenna that tune to the place in the field where everything that you desire to understand or know or create or perform, it already exists. So the reason I'm saying this is if you are choosing to create something new and it doesn't come to you easily at first, please do not give up. Because it takes about at least 3 days for these antennae to wire. That is because the information is not in here. Just to add to this, how real this is, researchers in Silicon Valley are now building the next generation computer chips, and guess what? They're not based on silica. They're based on droplets of water that are purified and very, very specific forms of structured water. And when they started pumping the information into that droplet of water, the water droplet was holding more information than could possibly be explained by the chip itself. And they said, where's the information going? And now they know that the chip based in water is storing information in a field that expands beyond the machine itself. It is in the field, and that could not happen if these ideas were not correct. So I'm showing you it's going beyond theory, that we're actually moving to build the machines to reflect what is happening in nature, what's happening between you and me. So when you think of all of those things, back to the idea of reincarnation, what we're doing is we are tuning to information in the field, and we're using our neurons to do that. And that, I think, is and this is what all of our work is all about, the emotions that we have, the heightened emotions that Joe talks about and I'm talking about, those emotions are what trigger the neurons to combine, to wire in a way so that we can communicate with that field in a meaningful way.